In February 1989, three men flew into Moscow to fight over a video game. None of them fully owned the rights to it. One of them was about to accidentally build the best-selling game console bundle in history. The game was Tetris, and the man who actually invented it wasn't in the room, wasn't part of the negotiation, and for years afterward wouldn't earn a single ruble from it. Moscow, 1984. Alexey Pajitnov is a researcher at the Soviet Academy of Sciences, testing new software on machines that were never meant to run games at all. He'd always loved pentamino puzzles, shapes built from 5 connected squares, endlessly rearranged. He wanted to bring that puzzle onto a screen. 5 squares turned out to be too many combinations for the primitive hardware he had, so he dropped it to 4, Tetramino, Tetris. The machine he coded it on, an Electronica 60, didn't even have graphics. No screen buffer, no color, nothing. Just brackets and empty spaces standing in for falling blocks, built entirely out of text. Pajitnov's colleagues got hooked immediately. So did their colleagues. Within weeks, half the building was playing it instead of working. His supervisor sent a copy to a software house in Hungary, Novitrade, mostly just to share it. From there, it spread on floppy disks, hand to hand, across Hungary and Poland. Nobody signed anything. Nobody asked permission. A government researcher's side project was quietly crossing the Iron Curtain, one copied disk at a time. In 1986, a British software dealer named Robert Stein was on a routine trip to Budapest when someone showed him Tetris. He was obsessed within minutes. He telexed the Soviet Academy of Sciences directly, offering money for the rights, and Pajitnov's institute said, essentially, sure, we're interested. Stein took that as a yes to everything. Home computers, consoles, arcades, all of it. He had no idea that in the Soviet Union, no researcher and no institute could actually sell those rights. Only one government agency could. Stein licensed the game to Mirrorsoft in the UK and its American sister company, Spectrum Holobyte. By 1987, it was on shelves, and it was a hit. Tetris was climbing sales charts across Europe and the United States, and technically, legally, almost none of it was authorized yet. In 1988, a game publisher named Hank Rogers saw Tetris running on a showroom floor at a trade show in Las Vegas. He couldn't stop thinking about it. Rogers licensed a version for Japanese computers through his own company, Bulletproof Software. It sold well enough that he became convinced this game belonged on something bigger. A handheld console Nintendo hadn't even released yet, called the Game Boy. But by now, 3 separate companies each believed they controlled the rights to Tetris in some form. Stein, Mirrorsoft, Rogers Bulletproof Software. None of them had actually gone through the one organization with the legal authority to grant any of it, Elektronorgtechnika, the Soviet state agency for exporting technology. Everyone called it ELORG. February 1989. Robert Stein flies to Moscow to finally sort out the mess with ELORG. So does Kevin Maxwell, son of British media tycoon Robert Maxwell, representing Mirrorsoft's interests. And so does Hank Rogers, who hears they're all converging on the same building at the same time and books a flight without even a scheduled meeting. Rogers walks into ELORG's offices essentially unannounced. Through an interpreter, he explains he's already selling Tetris successfully in Japan and simply asks who actually holds the console rights. The answer stuns him. Nobody. ELORG had never licensed console rights to anyone. Rogers had walked into an open door that Stein and Maxwell didn't even know existed. Rogers spends the following days with Pajitnov himself, talking games, not contracts. He wins over Pajitnov and the Soviet trade officials simply by being straightforward. Stein and Maxwell, by contrast, come across as exactly what they are, corporate dealmakers trying to lock down a product. ELORG gives Maxwell's side a deadline, 48 hours to confirm the handheld terms by fax, or the deal moves on. The fax is sent to Kevin Maxwell's office in England, but Kevin Maxwell is in Moscow. Nobody there to receive it, nobody to respond in time. The 48 hours run out. A missed fax, not a stronger offer, is what quietly ends Microsoft's claim to the handheld rights. ELORG grants Hank Rogers the handheld rights to Tetris. He immediately licenses them onward to Nintendo. Stein's own contract, meanwhile, gets quietly rewritten to specifically exclude console and handheld rights, the exact rights he thought he already had. In March 1989, Nintendo locks down worldwide console rights to Tetris. On July 31, 1989, Nintendo releases the Game Boy in North America. Every single unit ships bundled with one game, Tetris. It wasn't the flashiest game Nintendo owned. It was the one that worked in a waiting room, on a bus, during a boring meeting, 5 minutes at a time. The Game Boy and Tetris together went on to define what a killer app even means. And Alexey Pajitnov, the man who wrote every line of the original code, he earned nothing from any of it. He was a state employee. Legally, the game had never belonged to him. Only after the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 did he move to the United States. In 1996, together with Hank Rogers, the man who out-hustled him a deal in Moscow, he founded the Tetris Company. For the first time, over a decade after inventing it, he finally started earning royalties from his own game. Robert Maxwell's media empire collapsed within 2 years, buried under fraud and looted pension funds. He died at sea off the Canary Islands in November 1991, under circumstances still debated today. Kevin Maxwell was later tried and acquitted in one of Britain's biggest fraud cases. The rights to the most successful puzzle game ever made weren't decided by the best lawyers or the biggest check. They were decided by who showed up in the right office, unannounced, and treated a stranger like a person instead of a contract to be won. A missed fax and one honest conversation moved more value that week than any signature ever could. A puzzle built from 4 falling squares, coded on a machine with no screen at all, is still bundled into game consoles and phones today, decades later. This is a turning point. Every video on this channel is built around one idea, one pivotal moment that quietly changed everything, explained clearly in under 15 minutes. If that's useful to you, subscribing means you don't miss the next one, and there's always a next one. And if this video changed how you think about something, even a little, hitting like is what tells YouTube to show it to someone else who needs it too. If this one was worth your time, there's another turning point video waiting for you right there.